Okay, you're at Autosport in Fox Chapel, Pennsylvania, and we're going to present today a 1967 442 Olds, a real 442, not a clone, tribute, whatever you want to call it. It's a 338 code car, and it is correct in every way. One thing I have to point out, the car originally started out as a silver blue car. The gentleman that bought it originally, from what we understand, didn't like the color, couldn't find another one, so he had the car painted white. They did an incredible job in doing this. There's no way that you can tell that this car was any other color than white, as it is today. So going across the front of the car, the chrome, fitment of the bumper, everything you can see is just spot on. It can't be any nicer. The chrome is real deep and lustrous, 442 designation in the front. The grille itself, there's no windows missing in it. Trim around the headlights, both sides, is anodized aluminum. It's just as fresh and clean as can be. The fitment of the hood can't be any nicer. It's got a gap clean up to the windshield, including the cowl panel in the front that lines up absolutely perfect. You can see a direct line on both sides. Correct louvered hood for 1967, the way Oldsmobile had it. Even a fitment across the front. Look how everything lines up just as that should. And the chrome, there's no patina on it. Absolutely none. Little tiny crack in the paint here on the very edge. Must have shrunk up a little bit sometime during its life. But again, you can't tell that there's any blue behind it. A brush touch would fix that. So that's something we'll probably address for you. Going down the driver's side of the car, everything on this car is really spot on. 442 designation on the front left fender. Keystone Classic wheels, which you'll see. They're 235s in the front and 275/60s in the back. Both 15-inch, and you can see there's some pretty heavy meat in the back of this thing. Across the front of this guy, back of the hood to the cowl panel to the windshield, everything lines up as it should. It has the correct wiper arms and blades on the car. A little dingy in the window trim here. Does have tinted glass in the car. Windshield has a smoke top to it. One thing I neglected to point out, and I'm going to point it out right now. At some point of its life, someone had something on laying underneath the hood here. When they closed it, there's a little protrusion right here from where they closed it on. And obviously it's so small that you can hardly see it, and it just wouldn't justify trying to go ahead and paint this entire hood for this one little tiny imperfection. There's another one I know, you won't see it, but it looks like a stone came up and just put a little mark on the side. It didn't dent it, put a little tiny imperfection in the paint there. And then we have this mark here. So that takes care of all the marks on the front end of this guy. I don't think there's anything else that I can possibly point out to you. Let me look at the rest of this trim around the window. Okay, going down the driver's side of the car. Obviously it has a set of matching mirrors both sides. The chrome on the wing area on this car is absolutely flawless. There's no patina, no deterioration whatsoever. The anodized parts of the top of the door and quarter panel. This car only has 27,000 and change on it. It's a two-owner car from what we understand. The gentleman that we procured it from owned this car for over 28 years. He personally owned it for over 28 years. And in that amount of time, it went from 24,000 miles to basically almost 28,000 miles. So in 28 years, he put 4,000 miles on the car. He just put the rubber on it whenever we procured the car, whenever we got the car. The original rubber that was on it obviously was 28 years old at least, and was all dry rotted. So there's brand new BFG radial TAs all four corners of this guy. Really a nice set. Drip rail molding, no marks whatsoever, absolutely none. And check this out. Look at the window fitment on this thing. I mean, absolutely as flawless as you can possibly hope to get one. Look at the alignment of this. And the chrome stainless polished on the rear window glass is just as fresh and clean as can be. Original door handles, and they don't have any patina whatsoever on them. Look at the gaps on this. Gap in the rear, gap in the front on these doors. You're going to hear a big railroad train going by us here outside. Quarter panel molding down along the bottoms of the doors, quarters, and front fender. Everything lines up as it should, and there's no kick marks or anything on any of it, just as straight as can possibly be. This car, when you look at the still photography of it, the undercarriage of this car is unbelievable. It has absolutely, this thing's never had as much as a paint blister anywhere on it, and that includes the floorboards. I mean, everything on this car is just as fresh and can possibly be, with 28,000 basically miles on it. Everything is nice and fresh and clean. Nice sharp edges on the inner panels where they join the quarter panels. Looking down the side of this car, it is just absolutely laser straight. Anthony will show you a good picture down the side of it, but it just can't be any straighter than it is. It absolutely can't. Drop downs, you'll see this in the photography for underneath. The drop downs where they mate to the bottoms of the quarter panel, just as fresh and clean as they were when they were new. This car is just a, yeah, we'll do all that after we do we'll go around it first and then open all the doors and trunk and everything. But anyway, going down the side of this car is just as straight as can be. The paint on this thing is exemplary, which again, you'll see from all the still photography that we have showing you that everything that we possibly can. We try to show you everything that we can on these cars so that you know exactly what you're getting. We don't need to point out little tiny imperfections on the hood or on the trim or anything else, but we do, because whenever you receive the car, we want you to know exactly what you're getting prior to your purchase of the vehicle. All right, going across the back end of this guy, look down the side of that thing. I mean, it's just everything lines up just like it should, just exactly like it should. Okay, tail light bezels, absolutely perfect. We had the original ones on here. We did replace them. Down here in the lower part of it, there was some patina, some little pits in the chrome. And the rest of this car was so nice that just from water through the ages being there, we did replace these for you. So the lenses are original. These are replacements. And of course, the chrome is absolutely flawless on both sides of them. And again, look at the trunk on this guy. The gaps are absolutely flawless. It's a no-hit body. It's never suffered any trauma whatsoever. There is something hit this here. There's a little dinghy from something. I have no idea what that is, but looks like somebody dropped something against the side of it here. A little tiny mark. Probably won't even see it in the photography, but I'm telling you, it's there. Correct style stainless steel slash tips out the back. Chrome on the back bumper, and the back bumper fitment is spot on. I can't see any. It can't be any better fit than that. 442 designation on the back. Of course, Cutlass Supreme designation right above your keyhole. And we're going to show you the trunk here whenever we're done circumnavigating this guy, and then we'll open up all the doors and hood and everything else. The paint on this car is just exemplary. I mean, it had to have been painted somewhere 30-some years ago, and there's no way that you can tell it was ever painted. And the paint that's on it is obviously much nicer than what GM applied in 1967 to this car when it had been purchased new. Fantastic paint job on it. Okay, passenger side. See if we can find something on here. Come back to this again. When you see underneath the car, Anthony, if you can bend down, take a, if you can. I know we have still photography of it, but the car does have an F41 suspension on it. Does have the sway bar. It has the boxed lower control arms. It has a 373 Posi 12-bolt rear end. That's what this guy has. Obviously, it's an aftermarket aluminum rear end cover, but it adds a little bit of flair to the car. And 373 gears. I mean, how much better can it get? A 4-speed with 373s and a and a 442. Okay, the same thing on this side. Nice sharp edges on the quarter panel to the inner fender panel. You can feel that it had some of the original sound deadener. People call it undercoating. It isn't. It was originally a sound deadener that all the manufacturers applied at that point in time to keep dents and keep things from rusting underneath. But you can feel it. It's pretty rough and thick, and that's what's on that. Dry as can be yet. Obviously, it's quite a few years old now. No, I forgot to mention, no marks on the roof. There's no dings or marks or scuffs or scratches or anything. The rear glass is perfect. Even the hat rack itself, shelf, tray, whatever you want to call it, has a couple of Panasonic aftermarket speakers installed. There's no marks on the trim that go around the rear glass. Drip rail on this side is just as nice as it was on the other side. No marks, no brooms fell against it in its life. Same thing, the anodized part of the trim on top of the doors is just as perfect as can be. Look at the fitment on this, the same as it was on the other side, absolute precision. It can't be any nicer than it was. Chrome along the wing area, your A-pillar area, just as flawless as you'd ever want to find. Right-hand mirror, everybody has to have one of those. Again, look at this. Look at the fitment. The whole car is like that. Every panel on this car fits precisely. Kick panels down along the bottom, same as it was on the driver's side. No marks or scuffs or indentures whatsoever. I don't know if this is the correct, I don't think this is the correct radio antenna that came in 1967. That doesn't look correct to me, but it's an aftermarket one, but it obviously would probably still work. Again, wiper arms, blades, correct the way it was. 442 designation. No more marks, no scuffs on the side. And again, look at the linearity going down the side of this thing. This thing is straight, and every panel fits precisely on this car. It's a pretty rare find to find something that you really don't have to do any alignment on or don't have to do really anything on other than detail the car. And that's what we have here. That's exactly what we did. We're going to go and start opening panels for you here so we can show you what we have. Okay. And this is the correct engine for the car. It's been somewhat modified. It has a pretty healthy cam in it. It has a real nice lope to it. I don't know the specs on the cam itself. Obviously, I'm not going to tear the motor apart to find out what they are, but fantastic. It's got a single plane Torker Edelbrock manifold on it, aftermarket valve pan covers, correct radiator, correct fan, 6-blade fan on it, flex type from GM, brand new battery in it, inner fender panels, all original and just as nice and fresh as you could possibly find anything. Does not have power steering or power brakes. On this guy here, you're going to have to do some squats for the brakes, and it's got Armstrong steering in it. So, you know, it's kind of what most of the guys ordered back in the late 60s, middle 60s when they bought these cars, these muscle cars. Very few of them had power steering and power disc brakes on them. They were all manual. Saved horsepower and saved a lot of weight. But look at this thing. There's no way that you can tell this car was anything other than a white car from day one. Again, even look at this, the grille, everything on this car is as precise as you could possibly find. It is the correct engine for the car. It has a set of, he just recently installed them, and without thinking, he got rid of the cast iron exhaust manifolds, but he did put a set of ceramic coated long tube headers on his car, and you'll see them again under the, or in the undercarriage photography that Anthony has for you. But this is just a great find. I'm going to open the door to show you a little bit inside the car, in the trunk. Okay, it does have a flop down center armrest, bench seat in the front. The center armrest does go down, kind of make it look like buckets, but you know, from behind anyway, but it does have an armrest on it. The correct Hurst shifter on it for 442, the correct type white shift ball from the factory. It has a odometer tack in it that was an aftermarket installation, obviously. Couple little cracks in the steering wheel, but nothing to get excited about. No big, huge separations or anything. Does have on the dashboard, there's right here, I don't know, can you see it through the windshield, Anthony? There's a right here and here, there are some very small cracks that are on the dashboard itself. Original dash, obviously. Door panels, original carpeting, original interior, original seats, original headliner. Everything on this car is as it was when it was new because it's only got 28,000 miles on it. I mean, seat belts, a full complement to them, front and rear. Show them the headliner too, because that headliner is all original too. And no sags or anything in it. I mean, it's just a nice straight car. Sun visors, there are no deterioration on them. You got a good picture of the VIN number. Huh? It does also have instead of idiot lights, they're unhooked in the oil, amp, and temp gauges underneath the dash. Real nice complement of them. Okay. See if I can find the right key here. I don't know how they pulled this off, but there's the original jacking instructions from the factory. Of course, Oldsmobile had their light in the trunk like that. There is a car cover that goes with this guy. And there's the original spare and spare cover on it. Yeah, we can do that. I'm not going to rip all this up because it's original. It's still old and original, but you can see that the floors on this thing are exemplary. There's not even a paint blister on this car anywhere. It just survived everything. Yeah, I mean, the trunk area is just like the rest of the car. Someone has replaced these rubbers through the years because these are all very resilient, very nice and resilient, instead of being dried out like they would have been from the original rubbers had they still been on there. The same thing on this side. Look at the door panels. There's no deterioration. No, the carpeting may be faded a little bit. I don't know what the original color would have been. I mean, kind of on the doors, it looks like it may have been a little bit more brown, and it's turning a little more, I don't know, tan now from a little bit of sun fade. But the car just is, as you see it, it's just as original a car as you can possibly find. And there it is, with all the lids open. Again, the engine is exemplary. This thing, I drove this car for quite a few miles bringing it home. It didn't need to be trailered. I drove it home. And I used it for about a week, running it here, there, and everywhere. And it's a car that you can use as an everyday driver. You can take it to car shows. It's just a wonderful piece of equipment that absolutely hasn't suffered any type of deterioration or trauma through the years. It's a fantastic example of an Olds 442, 1967, a real 442. And it's available here in Pennsylvania at Fox Chapel Auto Sports site. So take a look at it. Give Anthony a call, and if you have any further questions, we can answer them for you, or we can do more videos for you, or more still photography to show you specific areas that you have a request for. Give us a call. This is a hell of a nice car. You should try to take advantage and buy this thing.